Well, welcome to Lake Louise, and this is the ultimate travel guide. In this video, I'll show you how to get here, how to get around, where to stay, where to eat, and what there is to do and see in gorgeous Lake Louise. Well, I have to start by saying this is my favorite place in Banff National Park. It's beautiful year-round, it's accessible year-round, and there's plenty to do when you're here. It also has enough development and infrastructure to satisfy most visitors while not, hopefully, interfering too much with the natural environment. Lake Louise is relatively easy to get to by car. As mentioned, it's about 60 kilometers to the Banff town site. It's a little over 200 kilometers from Jasper and about 180 kilometers or a 2-hour drive from Calgary. Getting around Lake Louise is relatively easy summer or winter. The roads are well maintained and honestly there aren't too many of them anyway. However, in the summer it can resemble a parking lot. Speaking of which, there aren't enough of them. Unless you're here relatively early in the morning, look, you're going to have a lot of trouble parking. It's May right now. I arrived at 10 o'clock and I was lucky to get a park near the lake. If I wasn't, I'd be parking miles away and having to take a shuttle bus, which frankly ruins the experience. So be warned. Also, parking's expensive. I'm only here for a couple of hours and the cost for my parking was $36. Now, if you're driving in the winter, you will not encounter the same crowds or traffic problems, although if you're going skiing, you will find traffic and parking to be an issue during the peak periods of the ski season. If you're driving in the winter, just be careful. If you're used to winter driving, great. If not, be sure you have a four-wheel drive and take it easy. There are a number of hotels, smaller inns, and cabins in the Lake Louise area. They're located either in the town site, which is just off of the Trans-Canada Highway and easy to get to, or on the road up to the lake, or in the case of the Fairmont Chateau, right on the lake with some of the most exquisite alpine views in the world. Now, when I worked with the tourist board here in Alberta more than 30 years ago, admittedly, I did stay at a number of hotels in the area. I've stayed at the Lake Louise Inn, which is in the town and very nice, the Paradise Lodge and Bungalows, Deer Lodge, which I remember being very, shall we say, rustic, and the Chateau Lake Louise right behind me. Of course, you don't have to stay in Lake Louise to enjoy Lake Louise. The beautiful Emerald Lake in Yoho National Park is only a short drive away from Lake Louise, and there are thousands of hotel rooms in and around the Banff town site, which is about a 30-minute drive from the lake. If you're looking for something a little more affordable, well, there's camping. Lake Louise has 2 campgrounds in the area, Lake Louise soft-sided and Lake Louise hard-sided. While these 2 campgrounds are nice and convenient, you're not limited to these campgrounds. Not too far from Lake Louise is Protection Mountain Campground to the south and Silverhorn Campground, which, by the way, is stunning, to the north. The campgrounds are very busy in the summer, so be sure to reserve your spot weeks or even months in advance. While Lake Louise does not enjoy as many restaurants as nearby Banff, don't worry, there are plenty of options, although there's no Tim Hortons or any chain fast food restaurants at the moment. My favorite places to grab a bite in Lake Louise include the Lake Louise Railway Station and Restaurant for something that's quite unique and generally not quite as crowded as other places, and also the Lakeview Lounge, which is actually behind me at the Chateau. Good food, yep, and one of the most iconic views in North America. People visit Lake Louise for many reasons, but the primary reason is for its undeniable beauty. And to that end, there are so many wonderful sights to see that will absolutely take your breath away here in Lake Louise. The jewel of Banff National Park is Lake Louise, which is famous for its mesmerizing turquoise waters surrounded by beautiful towering peaks. You can explore the lake by leisurely walking along the shoreline to the Victoria Glacier at the far end of the lake. If you prefer to be on the lake, well, you can canoe around the lake in the summer months or ice skate on the lake in the winter. Of course, if you feel like doing nothing but enjoying the scenery, well, there's no judgment here. The Fairmont Chateau Lake Louise sits on the shore of Lake Louise and is Well, hard to miss. The historic luxury hotel offers elegant accommodations, fine dining, and is the place to book a number of outdoor activities, including guided hikes and canoe rentals. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. Thanks. The Lake Agnes Tea House, which is up that mountain over there, and of course you'll have to hike up that mountain to get there, and it does tend to be fairly busy in the summer months, and it's only open in the summer, but the view, oh, it's worth the hike. One of the most photographed lakes in the world is not far from Lake Louise, and that is Moraine Lake. Moraine Lake boasts vibrant blue waters and a backdrop of the Valley of the 10 Peaks. The Rock Pile Trail offers a short hike with panoramic views of the lake and surrounding mountains. Now, a couple of words, though, about Moraine Lake. It's not only very popular, but really it's too popular. You can no longer drive to the lake and must take a tour or a shuttle bus to get there. If you're still interested, check the Canada Parks website for details on how you can book your place on the shuttle bus. During the summer months, you can ride the Lake Louise gondola to the top of Mount Whitehorn for panoramic views of the surrounding mountains and Bow Valley. The views are beautiful for sure, but it's also a great way to potentially see bears from a safe distance. Once you reach the top of the Lake Louise gondola, you can walk about 5 to 10 minutes to the Wildlife Interpretive Center. You can learn about the natural history and ecology of the area and enjoy the interactive exhibits and guided tours. Covering 4 mountain faces, the Lake Louise Ski Resort is one of the largest ski resorts in the country and most certainly enjoys some of the most beautiful scenery. Another ski resort, Sunshine Mountain, is not far from Lake Louise and is also very large and incredibly beautiful. And of course, Lake Louise is an outdoor lover's paradise. In addition to downhill skiing, Lake Louise has cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, canoeing, and kayaking, and some of the best hiking in the world. Many visitors to this area of the world come with the hopes of seeing wildlife, and if you stay long enough, well, you will. The area has caribou, elk, moose, mountain goats, bighorn sheep, wolves, and bears, both black and grizzlies. We tend to think of Lake Louise as a lake, which is fair, but there's also the charming village of Lake Louise. You can find shopping, restaurants, hotels, and art galleries right in the village. If you have not visited Lake Louise before, I highly recommend you stop off at the Visitor Center. The Visitor Center is located in the village of Lake Louise, very close to the highway. And of course, there's plenty to do nearby, so don't restrict yourself simply to the immediate area. Within a 30-minute drive of the lake, there is, of course, the Banff town site, Johnston Canyon, Yoho National Park in British Columbia, Peyto Lake and Bow Lake, Jasper National Park, and Lake Louise is the start of the most incredible region you may ever see in your life, the Icefields Parkway. So there you go, the magnificent and beautiful Lake Louise.